My name is Ranger Kosto, and I'm going to give you just a brief overview of a pre-departure check on your outboard motor. This is something I do when I'm taking my patrol boat out. Maybe give you a couple of hints of suggestions on something that you might want to do and get into a routine every time you take your motor out, and just do a couple of good checks. One of the first things that I check for is to make sure that the prop on my motor is in good condition. This one looks like it's in real good condition still. We just want to spin the prop. Just spin it and make sure that it's not catching or it's stuck in why the controls are in a neutral position. I spin it for a couple of reasons. One is in the area that I operate, there is a lot of people fishing, and therefore we have a lot of fishing line in the water. As you go through the water, it's real easy for the motor to catch the monofilament line and then suck it up into the prop and around the shaft. If this occurs and you don't catch it, the monofilament line, if it's between the prop and the seals in the shaft, could actually melt the seals and destroy the integrity, and the lower unit could lose its oil and fill full of water, and the bearings will seize, and that could happen just about any time. It could be catastrophic failure and stop the motor instantly, and it's probably something you don't want to do or have happen to you while you're operating the boat. So I will spin it, and I will actually listen to the prop as it's turning, and if there's any sort of grinding sound, I'll stop and I'll take a flashlight, and I can also look down in between the prop and into the shaft and see if I can actually visually see any line in there. If I can't see it and I can still hear it, I will remove the prop itself and visually inspect it that way. But I need to find out what's causing that grinding sound in there and remove it. And it's not a very loud sound that you're going to hear. It's very faint, but you can also feel it as you turn the prop. The other thing I'm looking for as I'm turning the prop is the prop shaft. Is it centered? Is it true? As you turn, you should be able to look at the center of it, and it won't move. If it moves up or down or side to side as you're spinning it by hand, that means your prop shaft is bent. Now, sometime the prop or the lower unit hit something and it bent that shaft. Having a bent shaft will also cause the seals to lose their integrity and allow water to get into the lower unit, and which will make the bearings fail as well. So spin the prop, listen and look to make sure everything is functioning correctly here. The next thing that I will do is remove the cowling and check the engine itself. One of the first things that I'll check is this little component right here. It is a water fuel separator. Almost all the new motors now have one of these inside the motor. It could be on the aft side or it could be on the forward side of the motor, but it's usually a plastic semi-clear thing. There is some sort of indicator inside. This one has a black ring on the inside, and when there's water inside this filter, it will actually float. If you see it floating in here, you need to address the water in the fuel situation. You need to remove this, dump the fuel and the water out of here, and you'll probably need to address the inline filter on your boat if you have one of those. So that's one of those things that I'll check. Another thing I will check is, like we talked about before, I will go through and I will verify that my oil level was still within those hash marks and make sure that that is still right where we need it to be. And also where the linkage comes in for the throttle and for the shifting cable, that all that is still connected and the cotter pins are in there as well. I also will check the spark plug cables where they go onto the spark plugs to make sure that they're nice and secure and tight, and so they haven't worked themselves loose. And I will actually visually look at all the wiring that's on the motor and make sure that it's all in good condition and it's still plugged in where it needs to be, and there's nothing that would indicate that it's melted or that it's loose.